Just fucking do it. Subscribe now. It said that he'd done a deal with the book. And I said, Roberto, why are you here? We know why the monkeys are here. Why are you here? And he said, I'm CEO of this company. I said, I can read. I'm not fucking, I'm not a third retard, a third black, a third yellow, a third Chinaman. I can read. There's no secret sauce. You figured it out. You already did one. He says, well, I can read. He owned 1% of the company, which he had bought. No options. Nobody gave him shit. And the shareholders, he had tough shareholders. He lucked out by taking out the Israeli shareholders. This was a deal that in the normal private equity time frame is they went in and out in 7 years. Well, they were in their 9th year, and so these guys are dying. So I knew he had an advantage over the professional investors. And I said that, he said that I'm the one that turned it around. He says, well, you're your first acquisition. There's somebody in this room that you could be your own first acquisition. Okay, which nobody knows how to, well, it's easy peasy. So he said, and he got a smile like this. And he said, it's like spaghetti brain. Could you explain it? Or like some of these other dipshits. Could you explain it again? Could you talk about the blowjobs in the helicopter? Could you explain it again? And I did. And he said, and he just sat there. It seemed like for hours, but sat there for about 3 minutes. I said, what do I do? So I told him, and he did it. And when he got into it, they tried to convince him that they only needed one lawyer. No, everybody needs a lawyer. Everybody. I hate to say, I had to give the lawyers more fees than they want, but everybody needs a lawyer in this deal. And he did it. And he interviewed, so he hired not only the corporate lawyer to represent the company, he hired a lawyer for himself. So he was doing the interviewing, and it took longer than it should. We got another webinar with him. He says, yeah, it took me 5 months, and Mr. Peña said we should have done it in 5 days, which is probably correct. And so he's happy as Larry. Sally and I had a drink with him about 1.5 years ago in New York, and he's never late. And he was a little late, and so I had my back to the door, and I said, I can't believe Roberto's late. And so she said, what's he look like? He's got dark skin. He says, does he have a lot of teeth? I said, yeah, he's got a lot of teeth. And he says, a kid, you know how from Back to the Future, that skateboard the guy floats on? A man just floated in, literally. I don't think his feet are hitting the ground. And it was him. And he said, he glowed. He glowed, And so I told Sally how smart I was. And she says, I know how smart he is. And he says, when I tell people, the other board members, he kept a couple of the board members, and he threw a couple out. And the ones that were going to be a problem, I knew which ones were going to be a problem. I said the women will be a problem, and so they were. And so he just, 7 months. 7 months. The questions about Roberto. Half this, and half this. He doesn't like being called a mutt, though. He doesn't. He bought a big mansion in the Hamptons when the prices collapsed because of Corona. And he bought a couple of other things. He bought another car. He bought another McLaren. So now he's got two. And I said, you're not 26. You shouldn't be doing shit like this. I think he's 45 or something. And he said, yeah, well, I don't. And he says, it's fun not to have to think about what it costs. I said, I understand that concept. But questions. But he's got one daughter who just graduated from Columbia University. And she's coming to the seminar later on in the year. And his ex-wife now, who's been divorced from 15, 20 years, is I don't know if he has anything to do with her at all. But, he's got a pretty daughter. I've only seen pictures of her. Questions about Roberto?
This one was the guy who asked, when can I get the money back? The 20 grand he put for the seminar, right?
Correct.
So it was the 349,000%.
Is that what it was? Okay. Just like your deals. Okay. But he's the only one that's ever asked me that. Easy peasy. And like he said, I don't have to validate what Dan says. It's true. It is. But you got to do it. You got to do it. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time. And it's, not doing it is just another form of procrastination. Okay, let's go back to, does everybody understand the 60-40? Chinaman. Yep. Murph. Well, how come when I look out in the audience, it looks like this is a different look. This isn't that your puppy just died. You're 6 years old and your puppy just died. That look was earlier today. But it looks like you're, in an abyss, not an abyss, an amorphous of, clouds around you when, okay, you have a question, sir.
Were there any differences between Roberto's self-acquisition of his company compared to just vanilla QLA?
No. The only thing is he was his own first acquisition. I mean, it's exactly the same. But he was his motivated seller. That's it. The difference was that he had 2 or 3 hard-nosed professional investors that had those percentages long time. That was the difference. So he had so they weren't motivated sellers. They weren't. So that's who he had to convince, and they wanted a certain return on their investment for whatever number of years. They didn't get what they wanted, and they could hold it up. But when you have got a fund that's 2 or 3 years past expiration, I know that he had more leverage than he thought he had. And we pressed it to the, not to the ultimate, but we pressed it pretty hard. Of course, do I get this much money or do I walk away and get fuck all? And of course, you always worry about getting the fuck all. And I worry about making sure we get as much as we can. And he did, and it worked out. It worked out. Yeah, Murph.
I've heard him before. I was curious if you know much about his chairman or the person that he leverages as a chairman type on his board.
No, I don't know. Other than I don't know his chairman. I don't know anybody of the board members. I know one of the board members, the lady who represented one of the other shareholders who wasn't on the board. A lot of the times when you get private equity money, they don't put a member on the board. They just have them as an advisor. But the leverage he had is because the investment had run past its timeline. But in theory, he shouldn't have been able to do that because he was a minority shareholder. But that's in theory. But if somebody else was his advisor, then it probably wouldn't have happened. But I know, I've been through these a gazillion times. Sometimes I over push, but not often. Once in a while, I over push. And they blow the deal up. But normally, it's got to be another big hitter on the other end, just one guy. Fuck him. I'll sink the fucking ship. Normally, the funds, they've got to be, they're accountable to somebody. So they're not likely to, dynamite their own ship. But individual guys, I've come, 4 or 5 times in my 50 years. Well, let's go down together, Danny. Let's go. This Titanic's got 2 motherfucking captains. Give me your hand. We're drowning together. And they do. And that's what you worry about. That's what you worry about. If you died tonight, believe me, nobody would give a shit. And for those of you that are married or have girls that aren't big fat cow pigs, they'll lose another 20 pounds and they'll forget you in a month. That's just the way life is. And for those of you that got some hot stuff, forget you in 48 hours. They will not soak up tears enough to make this handkerchief wet. And then your family, friends, or friends, we never could understand what you saw in him. I swear to you, I've heard that. I never could understand what you saw in him. Thank God you're free to live your life now. These are the kind of comments. And you always, I can look at your faces. Not me, not my old lady. They call wives old ladies for a reason. My old lady, that's how you used to refer to your wife. Or the slag you slept with. My old lady. Now, political correctness would deem that that's not appropriate anymore. But it doesn't mean it's still not true. The thing that really amuses me about the PC shit, it doesn't mean, it's like the law, if you call somebody fat, it's a hate crime in the UK. It doesn't mean they're not fat, does it? It doesn't mean they're not a pig, does it? I was taught, and the truth will make you free. That's what they told me. Apparently not now. The truth will put you in jail. Anything else about Roberto? Okay, again, bye, YouTube.